Welcome back, adventurers. We are excited to dive into the thrilling story of Gideon, a judge from the Bible, whose life is a roller coaster of faith, courage, and human imperfection. Today, we're unpacking Gideon's entire life, straight from the book of Judges, with added historical insights and a glimpse at the global context of his time around 1200 to 1100 BC. So settle in, and let's travel back to ancient Israel. Gideon's story unfolds during the era of the Judges, a chaotic time when Israel lacked centralized leadership and cycled through rebellion, oppression, and deliverance. His account in the book of Judges is rich with detail, showing God's power and patience. Let's start by setting the stage for his life and times. The Midianite raids were relentless, targeting the fertile Jezreel Valley, a breadbasket of ancient Israel. Their use of camels, noted in Judges 6, verse 5, gave them unmatched mobility, allowing swift, unpredictable attacks. This was a new level of warfare for the region, amplifying the people's terror. The Israelites hid in caves and strongholds, painting a picture of a nation under siege. Enter Gideon in Judges 6. He's threshing wheat in a winepress to hide from the Midianites. A winepress is a small, sunken pit for crushing grapes, sometimes located in caves. It was not an open threshing floor where wind separates wheat from chaff. Gideon's choice of locations screams fear and desperation. He's from the tribe of Manasseh, the clan of Abiezer, and his father Joash is a prominent figure in Ophrah, a town likely in the Jezreel Valley. This detail grounds Gideon in a specific place and community, making his story relatable. Then the angel of the Lord appears and declares, "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." Gideon is no warrior. He is a farmer hiding in a pit. He responds with raw honesty. If the Lord is with us, why has this happened to us? Where are all his wonders? His question echoes the doubts many of us feel when life gets tough. Yet God doesn't rebuke him but commissions him. Go in the strength you have and save Israel. Gideon protests, citing his lowly status as the least in the weakest clan. But God promises Gideon, "I will be with you." To confirm this divine encounter, Gideon prepares an offering of goat meat, broth, and unleavened bread. When the angel touches it with his staff, fire consumes it and the angel vanishes. Terrified but convinced, Gideon builds an altar called Yahweh Shalom, meaning the Lord is peace. This name is poignant, as peace is the last thing Israel's experiencing. This moment marks Gideon's first step from fear to faith, though his journey's just beginning. That same night, God gives Gideon a bold task. Destroy his father's altar to Baal and the Asherah pole beside it, and then build an altar to God and offer a bull as a sacrifice. Baal, the Canaanite storm god, and Asherah, a fertility goddess, were central to local idolatry. It appears that Gideon's father tried to blend Israelite faith with pagan practices. This wasn't just a religious issue, it was a political and cultural statement. Worship to Baal was tied to alliances with other neighboring tribes. Gideon obeys, but he's still cautious. He gathers 10 servants and demolishes the altar at night to avoid a mob. The next morning, Ophrah's residents are livid, demanding Gideon's death. This earns Gideon the nickname Jerub-Baal, means let Baal contend or let Baal fight for himself. As the Midianites, Amalekites, and other eastern tribes gather in the Jezreel Valley for another raid, the Spirit of the Lord clothes Gideon. This phrase, unique in the Old Testament, suggests divine empowerment. Gideon blows a trumpet, rallying warriors from Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali. But doubt creeps in. He asks God for 2 signs using a wool fleece. First, let the fleece be wet with dew while the ground is dry. Then, let the fleece be dry while the ground is wet. God graciously fulfills both requests. This fleece episode is rich with meaning. In ancient Canaan, dew was a symbol of divine blessing, essential for crops in a dry climate. Gideon's tests aren't about doubting God's existence, but seek assurance for an overwhelming task. God's patience here is striking. He meets Gideon's need for clarity without judgment. While we shouldn't treat the fleece as a decision-making formula, it shows God's willingness to guide us through our uncertainty. Gideon's army camps at the spring of Harod, facing the Midianite horde in the valley as described in Judges chapter 7. With 32,000 men, he's still outnumbered, but God declares, "You have too many." Why? To ensure Israel knows that God, not manpower, brings victory. First, God instructs Gideon to send home anyone afraid, and 22,000 depart, leaving 10,000. Then God narrows it further by observing how the men drink at the spring. Only 300 who lap water as a dog laps are chosen. The rest who kneel are sent home. Why choose these men? Well, some scholars say men lapping water were more vigilant, having their eyes up to keep watch, but the Bible emphasizes God's choice, not human merit. Now, with 300 men, Gideon is outnumbered by the 135,000 Midianites, 450 to 1. The odds are staggering. This sets up one of the Bible's most dramatic underdog stories. God bolsters Gideon's courage by sending him to eavesdrop on the Midianite camp with his servant Purah, as stated in Judges chapter 7. Gideon overhears a soldier's dream of a barley loaf tumbling into the camp, destroying a tent, which his comrade interprets as Gideon's victory. Barley, a humble grain, symbolizes Israel's simplicity against Midian's might. Emboldened, Gideon returns and devises a plan. He divides his 300 men into 3 companies, equipping each with a trumpet, an empty jar, and a torch hidden inside. At midnight, they surround the camp, blow trumpets, smash jars to reveal blazing torches, and shout, "A sword for the Lord and for Gideon." The sudden noise and light trigger panic. Judges chapter 7 verse 22 says the Lord set every man's sword against his comrade, causing the Midianites to slaughter each other in the chaos. The survivors flee toward the Jordan River. Gideon summons reinforcements from Naphtali, Asher, and Manasseh, who pursue the Midianites. The men of Ephraim capture and kill 2 Midianite leaders, Oreb and Zeb, at strategic crossing points. This victory, achieved through psychological warfare and divine intervention, is a testament to God's power in impossible odds. Post-victory, Gideon faces internal and external challenges. The Ephraimites, upset they weren't called earlier, confront him, but Gideon diplomatically praises their role in capturing Oreb and Zeb, diffusing tension. He then pursues the Midianite kings, Zebah and Zalmunna, with his weary 300 men. When the towns of Succoth and Penuel refuse to provide food, fearing Midianite retaliation, Gideon vows to punish them. Gideon captures Zebah and Zalmunna. He learns they killed his brothers. He orders his son to kill these kings, but he asks not to, so Gideon kills the kings. Gideon then returns to Succoth and Penuel and dishes out punishment to them as promised. When Israel offers Gideon kingship, he refuses, saying, "The Lord will rule over you." Yet, his actions blur the line. He goes on to collect gold earrings from the spoils, amassing 1,700 shekels, around 43 pounds, and crafts an ephod, a priestly garment in Ophrah, intended as a memorial. It becomes an idol, leading Israel astray. Judges says it became a snare to Gideon and his family, a tragic irony for a man who once destroyed idols. Gideon's personal life reflects the era's complexities. He has 70 sons from many wives and a concubine in Shechem who bears Abimelech. Judges chapter 8 notes 40 years of peace under Gideon, but his death marks a return to idolatry. Abimelech's later rebellion, as described in Judges chapter 9, stems from Gideon's failure to establish a godly legacy. Around 1200 to 1100 BC, the same time as Gideon, the world was constantly changing. In Egypt, Ramses III's victories over the Sea Peoples come at a high cost, weakening the new kingdom. Canaan, once under Egyptian influence, sees reduced oversight, allowing nomadic raids like the Midianites. In Mesopotamia, the Kassite dynasty in Babylon is declining, while Assyria begins its ascent. The collapse of the Hittite Empire creates a power vacuum in Anatolia. In Greece, the fall of the Mycenaean centers like Pylos marks a cultural decline. In China, the Shang dynasty's oracle bones reveal a sophisticated society, while in Mesoamerica, the Olmecs develop urban centers. Gideon's victories, though local, occur in a world of upheaval where empires are rising and falling. Gideon's story is a masterclass in God's grace and human frailty. He starts as a fearful farmer threshing in secret, yet becomes a leader who routs an army with 300 men. His doubts, questioning God, seeking signs, show a relatable struggle, met by God's patience. His victories highlight divine power, but his later errors, like the ephod, warn against complacency and pride. Learning about Gideon's life is important because it mirrors our own journeys. His nickname, Jerubbaal, reminds us that God can use us to challenge falsehoods. His 300-man victory shows that faith trumps odds. Yet, his legacy's flaws urge us to finish well. Whether you're here for history, faith, or inspiration, Gideon's story offers profound lessons about trust, obedience, and humility. Thanks for joining this epic journey through Gideon's life. If you enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment with your favorite Gideon moment, or let us know what Bible event you want to learn more about. The Bible is living history, and we can't wait to dive into more with you, adventurer. See you next time at the Unseen Tutor.